ways, yeah.
And so will you ask for money to educate the teachers on trauma-informed communities?
We will probably, I don't know if they'll ask to allocate more funding to professional development, but I can tell you that schools already are using their professional development dollars to get that training. So I think that teachers already are asking and they want it. And we have, at our district, we sent one of our most tenured employees, I think he's probably been with our district around 30 years. He just went to a trauma-informed care workshop and came back so energized and wants to take it on. Like, I'm training all the staff, I'm doing, it is so helpful to have a skill that makes your life and the education system so much better for these students. They're excited to be teaching, and to have a 30-year teacher excited to come back and present and stay with it is an amazing thing. And I think that's what these kind of opportunities give our teachers. And to just think about a first-year teacher who doesn't have those skills. And, I can't imagine how discouraged. I just started subbing at the Moscow district, and I think, oh my God, thank God I have some skills, with our mental health, with my mental health experience and parenting and being older. I think all of those things are helpful. So the professional development dollars will probably be increased, but the other thing, I think Sherry Ibarra has it's one of those line item things. I think it's not really a line item, but well, in her budget, it's a line item for school safety. And honestly, that's what that is. School safety, prevention is one of the key ingredients to that. So some of that money will be for professional development as well. Yeah.
Will we have to fight over guns?
You may. There's legislators from the southern part of the state that are bringing legislation to arm teachers in the schools,
So
which
that would
takes
take
away our
money
local
away from the
control.
trauma-informed professional
Yes,
development.
so that's our argument, right? And that's teachers' argument. And in this safety conference, that question was raised by, I don't know that she was an educator actually, but she's in the school district for there were a whole bunch of people with different roles at this symposium. And that's the argument. From all of us as stakeholders, we know that it needs to be a local control issue. And it already is. We have schools in our state that do have weapons in the buildings. And even in big districts like, I think there's a district in the Caldwell, or a school in the Caldwell School District, just one school in their district that has that has weapons in the school. But it's, the way they've done it works for them. Their community's happy with it, the kids feel safer, they have policies and they have vetted it out through their community. It's what that school and that community wanted, and it's working for them. I can't say that that's what my district would be approving of. I don't have that, I don't get requests for that as a trustee. But other districts do, and actually other districts employ them, and they do feel like part of the argument is in these very remote districts that they need the time. They don't have response. Yeah.
Idaho is one of, I think, only 4 or 5 states that doesn't fund all-day kindergarten.
Correct.
And it doesn't fund pre-kindergarten.
Correct.
Is there any information, resolutions, proposals that are coming to and through the task force to deal with this issue? Because, all the factors, reports, etc. I've read show, and I'm a former teacher,
Yes.
have showed that the importance, the significance of this. And one of the factors that was in a recent article is as our economy does not improve, more and more homes, both parents, if there are two parents, but both parents are working, so there's so much less time, opportunity for parents to do anything for their pre-K kids. So does I'm asking you two questions.
Sure.
One, does the task force considering this issue? And B, is your state board of school, what are you?
School Boards Association, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are proposing anything, whatever?
We passed through our membership last year.
Now, which week?
So Idaho School Boards Association
Okay.
passed through our membership last year for a resolution to fund full-day kindergarten. So that's already in the making, and our resolutions are good for 2 years, so that holds again through this legislative session. The one thing is we have 81 schools in our, 81 school districts so that doesn't mean all schools in those districts, but 81 districts that do provide full-day funding for kindergarten, full-day kindergarten. And so they're bringing in that other half out of either tax dollars or they're supplementing that with a fee. The task force, and I can tell you on my subcommittee that that was one of our first priorities, was funding full-day kindergarten. And I will say the other thing about the full-day, the state not funding it, they also don't require it.
I know.
Okay, so that's another issue.
Change the rules.
Okay, I've talked to legislators about that, and it's a parent issue. They want their voters. And parents, they have a few people that say, I don't want my kids to have to go. So that's the issue in Idaho. So our subcommittee did present that option, and my very frank words to our co-chairs were basically, this is all data-based, this is all research-based, this is something we already know, changes literacy, success in school, and the lives of our children in general, as whole people. Why aren't we just doing it? Why are we piddling around with this recommendation? It should go further than that. It needs to be to preschool. All of us were in agreement on that it needs to happen. In our subcommittee, our legislator in the subcommittee, one of our legislators was very, he brought forward the fact that the parents need to be able to decide. And, I just said, we aren't asking you to mandate it, just fund it for those of us that want to do it. And when we're talking about poverty in Idaho, which is our biggest demographic that is underserved, we're talking about people who can't access school. So if you are, like you said, if you are a one parent or a one income or a partial income household and you're having to go to work, you can't do a half day of anything for your student. They're either going to be in a daycare or at home, with a family member or something. There's no option to go to a half day anything and get that kid picked up. And then if you have no income, if you're a stay-at-home mom that can't afford to work because the jobs that are available basically don't pay you enough gas money to get there and back all the time, and you rely on the state assistance, you aren't going to be able to drive your kid to a preschool or a kindergarten for half day because there's no busing and there's no, and most of the preschools are all funded, fee-based. So if we're going to level out the playing field, which is what we're talking about with equity in our state, if we're going to provide all students with the same level of chances and hope for their future, we have to break those barriers down. And so one of our legislators said, well, then let's get real. This is really a birth to 3 issue. We all know that those are the statistics, that research shows that the development of children's brains is greater from birth to 3 than it is from,
Ever
13
again.
and 15. So we're putting all this money toward the career and college readiness. If we don't have a good foundation, you aren't gonna get very far, and it's gonna be more of a struggle, and you're not gonna stay with it. So that actually was, so funding for full-day kindergarten is one of the top 5, is one of the 5 priorities that I think got the most discussion, with some option for pre-K.
How's that from the
As a
task
recommendation,
force
that's
or
the
the
task
board?
force.
That's from the task force, thank you.
So the Idaho School Boards Association already has legislation. Genesee District and West Bonner District brought that forward last year. And I will tell you that it was against some recommendation by agencies that were working on youth advocacy. And they felt like they needed to be more strategic with when this type of proposal is brought about. And there is a lot of that in the legislature. There's a lot of when is the best time to propose this and move things forward. And as a board on our local level in Genesee, we were just like, heck no. We have been sitting on this for 6 years since we got our new superintendent. We're pushing it. The climate has changed in politics right now over the whole arena. We're putting it through and seeing what happens. You know, there's no way we're waiting another year on this. It should have been done 20 years ago. We were all, so I think, I think your trustees throughout the state know
Are wise
what we
enough.
need.
Yeah.
We know most of us know what's needed, or you're gonna have some outliers, you're gonna have some board members that just stay the course, just do what the superintendent wants them to do, or what they think should have happened, or, we don't need any training, we're elected, that's all they want us to do is be ourselves, and you're always gonna have those outliers. Most of us want to know, how can we do a better job? What do we need to do? How are we gonna move our kids forward? How are we gonna give more opportunities? I mean, that's the majority of us, I believe. I mean, we have, so of the 900 board members, we always have, our convention is in Coeur d'Alene this year, and it doesn't hold as many of us, so we have fewer numbers. Last year in Boise, we had over 650, 650 to 7 in that range, 700.
Of the
So-
900.
Kind of the 900, but you usually have, your superintendent usually comes, and not all full boards come, a lot of times. Not everybody can make it, they're elected officials, but they don't get paid, so, it's time off from your jobs, and not everybody can do that. But, right now, we have about 500 people registered, and so we do have a good turnout. So people are getting professional development, and the legislator allocates money for our schools, for our trustees to get professional development. Most of us take advantage of it, but most of us can't get all of it used. So one of the recommendations from the task force, the subcommittee that did the budget stability, they're recommending that the amount that's put in for that professional development for school boards and leaders, that not be a line item, that go into the main pot. But right now, we're using about $250,000 of it a year, and it would move that to, they'd have to allocate $1.2 million to make it the amount that they've actually, if we used all of the money for professional development, it would be $1.2 million. So they'd have to put that in our pot. So, and then we wouldn't be able to, you still have to have accountability measures and things like that. So,